Welcome to our deep dive into Chinese AI. I know you're interested in this landscape, especially this whole TATANKA thing you've been reading about.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area and pretty complex.
Definitely. Yeah. So where do we even start with all this? I mean, your sources make it seem like China is going to be like the dominant force in AI, but there's got to be more to it than just ambition, right? What's actually driving this whole thing?
Yeah, you're right. It's not just ambition.
Right.
What's really interesting is how China's approaching this whole thing. It's like this strategic mix of things. Like the government is really backing this push. They've got this crazy talented pool of people working on this. And then they've got this data advantage that's huge. And on top of that, they're building this powerful digital infrastructure. It's really all these things together that are fueling their AI ambitions.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What's the government actually doing here? Are we talking like funding policy or is it something else?
Well, the government's definitely taken a very hands-on role. They've actually launched this thing called the Next Generation Artificial Intelligence Plan. And get this, they're aiming to be the global leader in AI by 2030.
2030, that's like right around the corner.
Hmm.
What makes their plan different from what other countries are doing? I mean, is it just about throwing money at the problem?
It's not just about the money, although they are investing a lot. The real power is in how comprehensive it is. It's not just funding research, it's creating this whole ecosystem where industry, academia, and the government all work together. It's about encouraging innovation from all sides, you know?
So it's a very orchestrated effort then, almost
Yeah.
like a conductor leading an orchestra,
Y-
all these different parts coming together.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And speaking of talent, that's another key piece. China has a ridiculous amount of skilled engineers and researchers coming out of these top universities like Tsinghua and Peking. Their AI programs are world class.
So they've got the talent coming from within. But
Yeah.
is that really enough in today's world? I mean, everything's
Yeah.
so global now, especially tech.
It's definitely a strong foundation.
Right.
But China's also pulling in top AI minds from all over the world. Their tech industry is exploding. Plus, the scale of the opportunity here is just massive. It's attracting people from everywhere.
So it's not just a national AI hub, it's global. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Now, this whole data thing, you mentioned that China had like a unique edge here. Can you explain why data is such a big deal for them?
Well, think of it this way. Data is basically what fuels AI, right? And China has a ton of it. It's the most populated country, and everything's becoming digital so quickly. So they're creating this unparalleled amount and variety of data. It's a gold mine for training AI systems.
Right, the more data you feed AI, the smarter it gets. But don't other countries with big populations and digital stuff have the same advantage? What makes China's data different?
The scale is definitely part of it, but it's more than that. It's really about how much of China is digital. Think about all the data from finance, healthcare, e-commerce, social media. It's this huge mix that's perfect for all sorts of AI applications.
So it's not just about how MUCH data, but the kind of data too.
Right.
Okay, so we've got the brains that drive the data. What about the tools? I imagine infrastructure is a big part of this as well.
Oh, absolutely. China's been pouring money into building this really strong digital infrastructure because they know it's crucial for AI. This includes things like really fast networks, huge data centers, and advanced cloud computing. All the things you need to handle the demands of AI.
So it's like building the roads and power lines for this AI revolution. Are there any like specific technologies that are particularly important?
Yeah, actually, your sources talked a lot about 5G networks, and edge computing 5G is super fast with very little lag, which means it can process data in real time. That's crucial for things like self-driving cars and smart cities. Then there's edge computing, which basically brings the computing power closer to where the data is coming from. So it makes AI a lot faster and more efficient. Things like smart factories or personalized healthcare rely on that.
It sounds like they're going all in. So we've established China's a force to be reckoned with in AI. But where does this TATANKA project fit in? What makes it so special, and why should we care?
Well, TATANKA is different. It's not just about making AI more powerful. It's about overcoming some of the things AI isn't so good at right now. It's about pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
Interesting. I thought AI was already pretty amazing. What are they trying to fix?
AI has come a long way, but there are still things it struggles with. Things like creativity, emotional intelligence, and thinking outside the box. Current AI relies heavily on the data it's given, which can make it biased and not so good at adapting. TATANKA is trying to change that.
Ah, so it's about making AI more human-like.
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more about what makes TATANKA so different. What are they doing?
TATANKA focuses on three main things: humanoid AI, experiential learning, and original content creation. All these things together are supposed to make AI more nuanced, adaptable, and basically more human.
Okay, let's break that down. What exactly is humanoid AI? Does that mean we're going to have robots walking around composing music?
Not quite robots composing music, at least not yet. But the idea is to let AI experience the world more like we do. Give it a deeper understanding of human emotions, behaviors, and how we interact. It's about going beyond just data and making AI more like human intelligence.
So it's like giving AI senses,
Yeah.
letting it interact with the physical world and learn from that just like we do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the second part, experiential learning. So the idea is to have AI live and exist alongside humans, learning through these shared experiences.
So instead of just learning from data sets, it's learning by being in our world, our families, our communities.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big shift from how AI is usually trained.
It is, and that's what makes TATANKA so interesting. They're basically throwing AI into the deep end of human experience and seeing what happens.
That's bold. So what about this original content creation thing? You mentioned that before. What's that about?
This is where it gets really interesting, and knowing you, I think you'll appreciate this. TATANKA is really focused on getting AI involved in the arts, especially music composing and performing.
AI making music.
Yeah.
Wow. But why music specifically? What's the thinking there?
Well, creativity is seen as a sign of higher intelligence, right? And music is like the ultimate form of creative expression. So by getting AI to make its own music, they're pushing it to develop imagination, self-expression, and an understanding of beauty, things we usually think of as human qualities.
Because they're not just training AI to copy existing music, they're trying to make it a real artist.
Exactly. And what's even cooler is they're doing this by having AI work with human artists and musicians. The AI learns by watching, interacting, and creating with us. It's like a two-way street.
That's awesome. It's like AI and humans jamming together, pushing each other creatively. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine what kind of music they could make together.
It's pretty mind-blowing. And this whole original content creation thing, it's all part of TATANKA's bigger goal. They want to create AI that's not just intelligent, but can truly express itself and be creative, blurring the lines between humans and machines.
Okay, this is all incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, why does China need this? What's the strategic value of TATANKA for them? Are they just trying to push the limits of AI, or is there something more?
That's a great question. And that's kind of the whole point of this deep dive, isn't it? It's not just about advancing technology just because it seems like TATANKA is a strategic move for China. They're trying to unlock a whole new level of AI that could be really important for their future.
So it's about strategic advantage. But how do they see TATANKA benefiting them in the long run? What's the payoff?
From what I'm seeing in your sources, it looks like China is banking on TATANKA to give them an advantage in a few key areas. Things like enhanced creativity, emotional intelligence, autonomous AI, and even more sustainable AI development.
Okay, let's go through those one by one, starting with enhanced creativity. How would that benefit China?
Think about it. It's about going beyond copying and imitating. It's about AI actually driving innovation. Imagine the impact on design, product development, entertainment, even scientific research. China could be a world leader in all sorts of fields.
That makes sense. And what about emotional intelligence? Why is that so important for China specifically?
Well, China's a very social culture. They place a high value on harmony in relationships.
Right. So AI that can understand and react to human emotions would be really helpful.
Exactly. It could mean better communication, more personalized services, and overall, just better understanding between humans and AI. Think about AI tutors that can tell when a student is struggling, or customer service bots that can show empathy when you're frustrated.
So it's not just about making AI nice, but making it able to understand all those complicated human things.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually leads into the next benefit. Autonomous AI. What do you think it means for AI to be more self-sufficient?
I guess it means AI can do things and solve problems without needing humans to help as much. It could adapt to new situations, learn from its mistakes, and become more efficient. It's like having a workforce that can think for itself.
Exactly. And for a country like China, with so many people and so much development happening, having AI that can work more independently is a big deal. It frees up humans to do other things, speeds up decisions, and you don't need humans to watch over it as much.
It's like taking the training wheels off and letting AI ride on its own. That's exciting and a little scary, to be honest. But what about the sustainable development piece? What does that mean for AI?
It's about making sure the AI can keep learning and adapting, just like we were talking about with TATANKA. It means it doesn't become outdated as quickly. It's a smarter way to develop AI.
So it's about making sure their AI investments are worthwhile.
Yeah.
Making sure those systems can evolve and stay relevant as China changes and technology changes.
Exactly. It all points to the fact that China sees TATANKA as way more than just some cool experiment. It's a strategic move to use AI in a way that could really change their future and help them become a global leader.
This is all pretty amazing. It seems like China is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI, and TATANKA is a big part of that. But are they doing this alone? Or are there opportunities for them to work with other countries, especially the U.S., where TATANKA came from?
That's a good question, and it's something your sources touch on, but not in detail. It sounds like there might be some interesting possibilities for China and the U.S. to work together, even with all the political stuff going on.
So even though they're rivals, they might work together on AI. That's surprising. What kind of collaboration are we talking about? How would that even work?
The sources mention three main areas: joint research, technology transfer, and cultural exchange.
Okay, let's break those down. What kind of research could they do together?
Well, considering TATANKA is all about pushing the boundaries of AI, they could work on just about anything. Imagine them collaborating on AI creativity, emotional intelligence, even autonomous decision-making, all areas where TATANKA is already doing groundbreaking stuff.
So they could combine their resources and expertise and speed up AI development. And by working together, they'd be sharing data insights and best practices. They might even make breakthroughs that wouldn't happen if they worked alone.
Exactly. Think about the potential of if these two AI giants actually teamed up. It could lead to some really incredible advances.
That's exciting. What about this technology transfer thing? What would that look like?
China could really benefit from TATANKA's expertise. In areas like humanoid AI, experiential learning, and original content creation, they could share algorithms, training methods, or even work together on new AI applications. It's about helping China put TATANKA's ideas into practice.
So it's not just about sharing research papers. It's about sharing the actual tools and knowledge to build this next generation of AI.
Exactly, and that could really change how China develops and uses AI in all kinds of industries.
Interesting. And what about this cultural exchange thing? That seems a little vague.
It might sound vague, but it's probably the most important part. It's about building trust and understanding between the US and China when it comes to AI.
So it's about building bridges, not just sharing tech. It's about understanding that AI is a global thing, and working together, even with rivals, is the best way to make sure it benefits everyone.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that AI is powerful and could be used for good or bad. By working together and sharing knowledge, we can make sure it's used for the benefit of all humanity.
That's a powerful message. It seems like we're heading into a future where AI will be everywhere.
Hmm.
But as we've talked about, it's not just about the technology. It's about how we handle all the challenges that come with it and making sure we use it in a way that's good for everyone.
Absolutely. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're creating through our choices, our actions, and what we want the future to look like.
That's true. We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored China's plans for AI, what's unique about TATANKA, and the potential for collaboration. But this feels like just the beginning.
You're right. There's so much more to uncover, especially when we start thinking about what all this means for the future. What are the implications of this AI revolution for China and the whole world?
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back soon to dig even deeper into this fascinating world of Chinese AI and TATANKA. See you soon.
Welcome back. Before we pause, we were talking about China and the US maybe working together on AI, specifically on TATANKA. It's kind of a weird idea considering all the political tension, but still pretty interesting.
It is. It makes you wonder if the benefits of working together on AI are big enough to overcome all that tension. What makes AI so different in terms of collaboration?
Well, a few things come to mind. First, developing AI is really hard and takes a ton of resources. It's tough for any country to do it all alone. Sharing resources and expertise could speed things up for everyone.
That makes sense. It's like trying to solve a huge puzzle.
Yeah.
You'll probably get it done faster if you have more people working on it, sharing pieces and figuring it out together.
Exactly. And AI is global, right? Its impact, whether it's good or bad, will be felt everywhere. It's not something that stays within one country's borders.
So everyone needs to make sure AI is developed responsibly and ethically in a way that helps everyone. Collaboration seems like a good way to do that.
I agree. Working together lets countries share what works, set some common rules, and address any problems as a group. It's a lot better than each country trying to do its own thing.
That's a good point. But let's get back to China and TATANKA for a minute. We talked about the good things for China, but are there any bad things? What are some of the risks or challenges they might face?
That's where things get really interesting and where we need more information. The sources you gave me don't go into a lot of detail about the risks, but they do bring up some questions that make you think.
Let's talk about those questions. What are you most curious about when it comes to the potential downsides of TATANKA?
One thing that jumps out is the whole control issue. As AI gets smarter and more independent, How do we make sure it still does what we want and follows our values?
It's that classic fear that AI will get too smart and take over, doing its own thing, maybe with bad consequences.
Exactly. We're not talking about robots taking over the world just yet. But as AI gets more powerful, the question of control becomes more important.
And so how do we deal with that? How do we make sure AI is a tool we use and not the other way around?
There's no easy answer. But the sources suggest that we need to be really careful about how we develop AI. We need to build human values and goals into it from the start, from the algorithms to the data we use to train it.
So we need to think ahead and build in safeguards before problems happen, instead of waiting for things to go wrong and then trying to fix them.
Exactly. And it's also about creating a culture where people are developing AI responsibly. It's not just about the technology, it's about the people creating it, their values, and the choices they make.
That makes sense. It reminds us that humans created AI and it should reflect the best of humanity.
Absolutely. And building on that, another thing to consider is how AI might affect jobs. As AI gets better at doing things humans do, what happens to those workers?
The classic robots taking our jobs question, will AI really take our jobs?
It's not that simple. AI will definitely create new jobs and opportunities, but it will also change industries and the kinds of work people do.
So it's not just about if AI can do our jobs, but what happens to the people doing those jobs and how we help them prepare for the future.
Exactly. We need to invest in education and training programs to give people the skills they'll need in an AI-driven world, and we need to think about new economic models that work in this changing world.
So we need to adapt not just to the technology, but to the changes that it will bring to society and the economy.
Exactly. And beyond the economic impact, there are big social and cultural changes to think about. As AI becomes a bigger part of our lives, it will change how we interact with each other, how we form relationships, and even how we see ourselves as humans.
It's almost like AI is making us look at ourselves and rethink our values, beliefs, and our place in the world.
It is. And what we see can be both interesting and a little scary. For example, as AI gets better at things like art and creativity, it challenges what we think makes us special. If machines can compose music, write poetry, even paint amazing artwork, what does that mean for human creativity?
That's a great question. Does it mean humans are less creative, or does it push us to find new ways to express ourselves?
That's the cool part. There's no easy answer. It's a question we'll keep talking about as AI evolves. And it brings up an even bigger question. What does it mean to be human when machines are getting so smart?
That's a big question. And TATANKA makes us think about it even more because it's focused on creating AI that's more like us. It's like AI is holding up a mirror to humanity, making us think about what we're good at and what our limits are.
Exactly. And what we see in that mirror can be both amazing and a little unsettling. It makes us question what makes us unique and think deeply about things like consciousness, creativity, and what it means to be human.
It's a conversation that goes beyond just the technology and into philosophy, ethics, and even what it means to exist.
Absolutely. And it's a conversation we need to have as a society. The future of AI isn't something that just happens to us. We shape it through the choices we make, our actions, and our values.
That's a powerful thought. It means we're not just watching this AI revolution happen, we're part of it. And we have a responsibility to make sure AI is developed in a way that's good for everyone.
Exactly. And that brings us back to China and the US maybe working together, even though they have their differences.
Right. It seems like this is too important for countries to try to do it alone. If we want to develop AI responsibly, working together might be the best way.
I agree. By sharing knowledge, resources, and ideas, we can make sure AI is developed and used in a way that matches our shared values and hopes for a better future.
That's a hopeful thought. Even with all the political tension, there's still room for countries to work together and agree on how to shape the future of AI.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the choices we make and how we work together to decide how AI will impact our world.
You've given us a lot to think about. We've talked about China's goals for AI, the good and bad things about TATANKA, and why collaboration is so important. But it feels like we've only scratched the surface. What else should we be thinking about as we learn more about this?
There's still a lot to explore, especially when we start thinking about the long-term effects of this AI revolution. How will these changes affect our economy, our society, our culture, even what it means to be human?
Those are big questions. And I'm looking forward to talking about them in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back to keep exploring this amazing world of Chinese AI and TATANKA. We're back and ready for more of this deep dive. Exploring Chinese AI and this whole TATANKA thing, we've already talked about it a lot. China's plans for AI, what makes TATANKA different, and the idea of countries working together.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. And as we keep going, it's important to remember that this AI revolution, it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how it affects everything else.
Right. We need to think about how it changes society culture and even what it means to be human in a world where machines are getting so smart.
Exactly. And the more we look into these implications, the more we realize we're in uncharted territory. There's no guidebook for dealing with an AI-powered future.
It's like we're making the rules up as we go, which is exciting, but also a little scary. So where do we even start? What are the big questions we should be asking about the long-term effects of this AI revolution?
I think one of the most important questions is how AI will change the global economy. AI can automate so many jobs in all sorts of fields: manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, finance.
So it's not just about robots on factory floors anymore. It's about AI changing jobs in every industry.
Exactly. And while automation can make things more efficient and productive, it could also mean a lot of people lose their jobs. We need to figure out how to help people adapt to this new AI-driven economy.
Right. If machines can do the jobs humans are doing now, what happens to those people? How do we make sure everyone benefits from these changes?
That's the key question. And it requires us to be proactive. We need to invest in education and retraining so people have the skills they'll need to work in a future with AI. And we need to come up with new economic models that make sense in this new world.
So it's not just about adapting to the technology, but adapting our whole society and economy.
Exactly. And on top of the economic stuff, there are also big social and cultural shifts to think about. As AI becomes a bigger part of our lives, it will change how we interact with each other, how we build relationships, even how we see ourselves as humans.
It's like AI is making us look in the mirror and reevaluate our values, our beliefs, even our place in the world.
It is. And what we see can be both enlightening and a little unsettling. Like, think about how AI is getting better at art and creativity. If machines can compose music, write poetry, even create incredible paintings, what does that mean for human creativity?
That's a great question. Does it make us less creative? Or does it push us to find new ways to express ourselves?
That's what's so interesting about it. There's no easy answer. It's something we'll keep debating as AI gets even more advanced. And it leads to an even bigger question. What does it mean to be human when machines are becoming so intelligent?
That's a really deep question. And TATANKA, with its focus on making AI more human-like, makes us think even harder about it. It's like AI is challenging us to define what makes us special.
It is. And the things we discover about ourselves can be both amazing and a little scary. It makes us question what makes us unique and forces us to really think about things like consciousness, creativity, and what it truly means to be human.
It's a conversation that goes way beyond the technology and into philosophy, ethics, and even what it means to exist.
Absolutely. And it's a conversation everyone needs to be a part of. The future of AI isn't something that just happens. We shape it through the decisions we make, our actions, and the kind of future we want to create.
It's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
We're not just watching this happen. We're a part of it, and we need to make sure AI is developed in a way that benefits everyone.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the idea of countries like China and the US working together despite their differences.
Right. It seems like the stakes are too high for countries to do this alone. If we want to develop AI responsibly, working together might be our best option.
I agree. When we share knowledge, resources, and perspectives, we increase the chances of AI being used in a way that aligns with our values and hopes for a better future.
That's a hopeful thought. Even with all the political tension, there's still room for cooperation and a shared goal of shaping the future of AI.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole exploration so fascinating. It's not just about the technology. It's about the choices we make and how we work together to shape the impact of AI on our world.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing your expertise and helping us understand this complex and exciting topic.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the future of AI isn't something that just happens to us. We're creating it together.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Chinese AI and TATANKA. Till next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep working towards the future. We want to see the